Hi guys, welcome back. Sorry, I know it's been a little longer than originally planned. I've been dealing with some unforeseen circumstances, which took me away from this a bit longer than I wanted to be. However, I am back, sort of. I think it's going to be a little different for a while. Due to those same unforeseen circumstances, uploads won't be as regular as normal, and most videos will be audio only. Thank you to everyone that has stuck around. That said, today I'll be reacting to my prediction of the 24-25 Premier League season. The link will be over here if you want to watch it before you watch this video. I'll be scoring my predictions as follows. 3 points for the exact position, 1 point for getting within 5 places, and 0 points if it is more than 5. So let's see how right or wrong I was. Let's dive in. Let's start with the 3 teams that finished in the relegation zone. I predicted Nottingham Forest to finish 20th, Ipswich Town to finish 19th, and Southampton in 17th. And let's start with how wrong I predicted Nottingham Forest, as they actually finished in 7th, qualifying for the Conference League, and putting me 13 places out. I will admit they did very well this season compared to the previous season, and I don't think many people expected them to finish this high in the Premier League, especially when following their win against Wolves in January. Forest completed their best winning streak in a single season since 1967 with 6 victories in a row. They also secured and qualified for a spot in Europa League Conference, as previously mentioned, and their goalkeeper, Matt Sells, won the Golden Glove, joint with David Raya at Arsenal. Ipswich Town finished in 19th place, which is my first correct prediction, with this being the first season back in the Premier League since the 2001-2002 season, following successive promotions from League One and the Championship in the previous 2 seasons. They had hopes to stay up, but unfortunately they did not get the return to the Premier League that they hoped, as they got relegated in April with a 3-0 loss to Newcastle. However, they did have a standout player with Liam Delap, who scored 12 goals during this season. And lastly, with Southampton, who I did predict finish in the relegation zone, I just thought they'd do slightly better as they finished in 20th. In December, after the 5-0 defeat to Tottenham, they dropped to the bottom of the league. A few hours later, their head coach Russell Martin was sacked, and Ivan Juric replaced them on an 18th-month contract on the 20th December. However, in their first game in April, after a 3-1 defeat to Tottenham, they were relegated after 31 games, breaking the record for the earliest relegation in Premier League history. The next day, Ivan Juric left his role as manager by mutual consent, with Simon Rusk taking in turn charge for the remaining 7 games of the season. This put me only 2 places from being correct with my prediction. In 17th, I predicted Fulham, who finished in 11th place, so 6 places better than I predicted, which I admit was a bad prediction, as they've been quite consistent in mid-table recently, and I am very pleased for them. But they did, however, experience some mixed results, including securing a memorable 2-1 victory over Newcastle at St James's Park, showcasing a strong second-half comeback, and secured a 2-0 win over Leicester City, demonstrating their resilience after a recent loss and finishing with a 0-goal difference, which shows how mixed their season was. And Anthony Robinson finished 4th highest in the assist stats at the end of the season with 10 assists. I then had Everton finishing 16th. They finished 13th. In January, Sean Dyche, as the club was sitting in 16th, but when they confirmed the return of David Moyes after 12 years, he made a huge impact and he won 8 of the remaining 18 games in charge, and only lost 3. With this being the final season at Goodison Park, this made a difference with certain games as well, including the last Merseyside derby against Liverpool. So at least until the change of manager to Moyes, I could have been looking at 3 points, but after his impact, I am happy with 1 point. In 15th, I put Wolves to finish. However, they ended their season in 14th. And even at 1 point during the season, they are in danger of relegation. With a poor start to the league, they had failed to win any of their first 10 matches and only scoring 9 goals in their first 16 matches. Wolves were sitting in 19th in the table and only 4 points off safety, which led to Gary O'Neill to be sacked. In December, they announced Victor Pereira. Their fortunes then turned as they gained 32 points from their next 18 games in the league, with 6 of them being on a run of wins and securing safety with 5 games left in the season, giving them their longest winning run in top flight since 1970. They also had 2 players in the top goal scorers, with Mateus Cunha in 8th with 15 and Jorgen Strand Larsen in 10th with 14. Again, I am not disappointed with only getting the 1 point, as Wolves improved a lot under their new manager. I had Leicester finishing in 14th, but like the other promoted teams, they finished in the relegation zone, as they finished 17th. In April, after losing 3-0 at home to Newcastle, their 8th consecutive home game defeat without scoring, which was a new record in English football, and were relegated after losing 1-0 at home to Liverpool, only 2 games after their loss to Newcastle, which left them 18 points from safety with 5 games left in the season. This made them the first team in history of English top 5 football to not score in 9 home matches in a row, and along with Norwich and West Brom, to suffer relegation at least 5 times. It also marked the last season to feature Jamie Vardy after being at the club for 13 years, scoring 200 goals in 500 appearances, 9 of which during this season, making his last appearance at the King Power Stadium against Ipswich, scoring 1 of the goals. Even though I got this prediction wrong, I am happy to take the 1 point. In 13th, I predicted Bournemouth, who finished 9th. This season will go down as one of Bournemouth's greatest in history. With head coach Andoni Iraola, they achieved a record points tally in the Premier League and their highest ever league finish and most wins in a single season in top flight football. Their main players have outstanding performances from Justin Kluivert, who scored 12 goals, and Dean Housen, who's just joined Real Madrid, and many others, of which are linked to moves away from the club due to their excellent season. I then had West Ham finish in 12th, they finished in 14th. West Ham had a mixed season as they were 14th in January after 20 games, lost 9 of them, and only won 6. West Ham decided to sack Julian Lopetegui and replace him with Graham Potter, who with the remaining 18 games lost 8 and only won 5. During this time, and near the end of the season, at the beginning of May, they were sitting in 17th. However, after winning 2 of their last 3 games, they finished in 14th. Their top goal scorer and top assist player of the season was Jared Bowen, with 13 goals and 8 assists. I am a fan of West Ham and I am happy to take the 1 point with this one. In 11th, I put Brentford to finish, however, they ended up in 10th, which I'm very happy about as I'm only 1 position out with my prediction. And overall, during the season, Thomas Frank, their manager, got the players together and they all played very well as a team. They were shown how to be a great Premier League team as they are very consistent, and I think they'll be in the Premier League for many years to come, especially if they can keep some of their best players like Brian Mbeumo and Johan Wissa, who are in the top 10 goal scorers in the Premier League, with Mbeumo in 4th with 20 goals and Wissa in 6th with 19. And they also had Miguel Damsgaard finished 4th with 10 assists across the whole season. So now on to the top half of the league. I had Crystal Palace finish in 10th, who ended this season finishing 12th. This season marked a couple of changes to the team, as Mark Gay was given club captain, replacing Joel Ward, and it was the first season in 9 not to feature James Tompkins, who departed the club in the summer before retiring. They finished the season with their highest ever points tally with 53 points in total, but their biggest achievement came in the FA Cup when they reached the final, defeating Man City 1-0, which gave them their first ever major trophy and securing them a position in the league phase of the Europa League. They also had 2 players finishing both the top 10 goal scorers and the top assists, with Jean-Philippe Mateta with 14 goals and with Berchieza with 8 assists. This was a great season for Crystal Palace, and I wish them well in the Europa League. So happy to only get the 1 point for this prediction. In 9th, I predicted Brighton, who finished in 8th place. With the youngest manager in the league, Fabian Hurtzeler, he had a lot of more experienced managers around him in the league, but he had a great start to the season, winning 6 of their first 12 games and only losing 2 games. But they had a bit of a poor run of games in the middle of the season, with only 2 wins in the next 10 games. However, in their last 16 games, they won 8 and only lost 3. They also had 3 players, Joao Pedro, Kaoru Mitoma and Danny Welbeck, who all got 10 goals each. Being 1 place out, I feel I did well with this one. I then had Newcastle to finish in 8th. They finished 5th. They had a great season, and Eddie Howe is doing a great job again as their manager. I admit, with this one, I predicted lower than I should have done, but I felt at the time they were not going to improve much more than they did last season. But finishing 5th, and with the other Premier League teams' performances in European competitions, and in the Premier League a European performance spot, allowing 5 teams to enter the Champions League, I believe Newcastle deserve that spot after their performance this season, especially after defeating Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final, which gave them their first ever trophy since 1969, which is their first in this tournament and first domestic trophy in 70 years. They also had 2 players finishing in 2nd in both goals and assists in the Premier League, with Alexander Isak getting 23 goals and Jacob Murphy completing 12 assists throughout the season. In 7th, I put Man United to finish. However, they ended their season in 15th, which shocked most people across the Premier League. And with 8 places different, I will receive no points for this prediction. In his 3rd season as manager, Erik ten Hag had a poor start and was sacked in October, as they were sitting in 14th in the table. Ruben Amorim was appointed in November, but was unable to make an impact with the club, as they finished at the bottom half of the table for the first time since the 1989-90 season. They did, however, reach the Europa League final, but lost to Tottenham by 1-0, which resulted in them failing to qualify for European football for the first time since the 2013-14 season. I had Aston Villa finishing in 6th, who ended their season finishing in 6th. So this marks the second time I have received all 3 points for my prediction. They also had Champions League football to be a part of. So with all those extra games, Aston Villa should be quite happy with finishing in 6th and getting European football next season. And to continue under Unai Emery, I can see them fighting with the top 6 teams for many years to come. They will also want to keep some of their best players, including Ollie Watkins, who scored 16 goals, finishing in 7th in the top goal scorers and 10th in the assists with 8, as well as Morgan Rogers, who completed 10 assists, finishing in 4th in the list of top assists of the season. In 5th, I predicted Chelsea, who finished in 4th place. In July, they announced the appointment of Enzo Maresca from newly promoted side Leicester City as their new manager, and by October, Maresca was named Manager of the Month, along with Palmer, who was named Player of the Month in the Premier League for September. Despite winning 19 of the 38 games and only losing 9 all season, it came down to the final match against Nottingham Forest to secure the 4th place, securing their place in the Champions League next season. They have also reached the Conference League final against Real Betis, which they are yet to play as of this recording. Their best player this season was Cole Palmer, as he scored 15 goals, finishing in the 8th spot in the top goal scorers of the season, and in 10th in the assists with 8 across the season. I then had Tottenham finishing 4th, they finished in 17th, which, similar to Man United, no one would have predicted, and putting mine 13 places out. They finished with just 38 points, their lowest top flight finish in 48 years. This meant they avoided relegation by 1 place and with 14 points. On the other hand, they had European success as they reached the final of the Europa League, as previously mentioned, to beat Man United 1-0, getting their first major trophy in 17 years, making this season both a major disappointment but also a historical success. And as usual, their captain Son Heung-min completed 9 assists, putting him 9th on the top assists of the season. In 3rd, I put Arsenal to finish. However, they ended their season in 2nd place. So well done, Arsenal. And despite them winning 20 of their 38 games and only losing 4 games, and with Mikel Arteta having another great season with Arsenal, but due to how well Liverpool played, they finished in 2nd for the 3rd season in a row. They did have a great run in the Champions League, reaching the semi-finals since 2009, beating PSV 9-2 on aggregate in the last 16, and Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate in the quarter-final. David Raya also won the Golden Glove, as previously mentioned, joint with Nottingham Forest Matt Zels. They also had Bukayo Saka finishing in 4th in the top goal scorers with 10 goals, and Martin Odegaard finishing 10th place in the assist stats with 8. I had Man City finishing 2nd, who ended this season finishing in 3rd. Their season at one point had a period of poor form, which was unprecedented for City. It started with one of their star players, Rodri, getting injured and being out for the whole season. Then near the last international break of the year, they had a run of losing 4 games, which was their worst losing streak since 2006. Their poor run of form then continued into December and being in 7th place before picking up form and winning 13 of the remaining 20 games, and only losing 3 of those remaining 20. This season also marked the first time since the 2016-17 season that they failed to claim any silverware, as they only reached 1 final in the FA Cup, of which they lost to Crystal Palace. On the other hand, as usual, Erling Haaland scored 22 goals, finishing in 3rd in the top goal scorers, and Savinho completed 8 assists to finish in 10th in the most assists of the season. And lastly, in 1st place, I predicted Liverpool, who did finish in 1st place, marking my 3rd correctly predicted team, with this being Liverpool's first season under new head coach Arne Slot, replacing Jurgen Klopp after he decided to leave at the end of last season. They won 25 games out of their 38 games, only losing 4, and after they lost their first game in September against Nottingham Forest, they went on a 26-game unbeaten run, and on the 27th of April, they were officially crowned Premier League champions after a 5-1 win at Anfield against Tottenham, winning their 2nd Premier League title and their 1st in front of the fans, making it their 20th English League title. In the last game of the season, Mohamed Salah scored his 29th goal of the season, winning the Golden Boot and setting a new record in their 38 Premier League season, equaling the previous records set by Alan Shearer and Andy Cole, who completed these in a 42-game season. He also won the Playmaker Award for the most assists with 18, the Premier League Player of the Season, and FWA Player of the Year. Ryan Gravenberch also won the Premier League Young Player of the Season, and Arne Slot won the Manager of the Season. Ultimately, with 13 teams giving me 1 point, and the 3 teams giving me the 3 points, and with only the 4 that really made the biggest difference to my predictions, which are Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Man United and Fulham, I am not really that disappointed with getting 22 points out of 60. So that is my reaction to my prediction of the 24-25 Premier League season. I feel I did okay, considering it was my first time predicting the Premier League table. So let's hope I do better next season. In the meantime, a while back, I promised I'd shave my hair off if we hit 100 subscribers. We haven't quite hit that mark yet, but it's been a year and I'd like to bring it back. This time, let's make it happen. And if we hit 100 subscribers by the end of August, the challenge is on. If you've been watching and not yet subscribed, now is the time. And let's make this happen. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video.
Virgil van Dijk, who raises standards, who raises spirits, and today he is going to raise silverware. All season long, they have been the team that rolls, the team that rocks, the team that never stops. Title number 20, call off the search. The Reds are back on their perch. At the pinnacle of English football, Liverpool, the 2024-25 Premier League champions. "20 notches now on Liverpool's belt of brilliance.